And welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner here on ColumbusNewsTeam.com. Playoff edition, as the first round is just around the corner on Friday. With me is head coach Tyler Linder, as the SCOTUS Shamrocks are back in the playoffs and look to make a C1 run at the title. Coach Tyler Linder, how you doing?
Doing very well. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. So you're back in the playoffs, something you expected probably coming into the preseason. We'll look ahead to the first round matchup and all the implications coming up, but you had a big game last Friday in the rivalry match against the Lakeview Vikings, a game you had to win to grab the district title, which you did. We'll just take a look at some highlights and recap all what went on Friday night.
Yeah, we came out Friday night, and I think we played really well in the first half, and went into halftime feeling really comfortable. We were up 21-0, but then we started to crumble a little bit in the third quarter, and much to Lakeviews' credit, they put a lot of pressure on us, and we didn't keep our composure at all times in the second half.
So, I mean, it was 21-0, as you mentioned in that first half. What were you doing right that just allowed you to get out to that big lead? Because, both teams for a rivalry match, they're fired up.
Yeah, I think both teams came out guns a-blazing, but I think Coach Pellon and our offensive staff had a great game plan going in, and I think we were able to keep their offense in check. But we changed up a few things. We know that Lakeview runs a 6-2 defense, and they like to read our guards, and so we stopped pulling them, and we just ran right at them, and we're able to kind of go 3-4 yards in a cloud of dust, and we're able to get down the field very systematically in that first half.
And a byproduct maybe of that systematic change on offense was Jake Boss. He pounded 3 in for those 21 points in that first half. It just seemed like he was just going straight on, and you were just saying, we'll bowl you guys over.
Yeah, I think all of our backs had very good night, but Jake in particular, scoring as many touchdowns as he did the other night in an impressive fashion. He rattled off some big runs, but the more impressive ones to me are where looks like he's dead to rights, but he's able to manage 5 or 6 yards out of it. So Jake is definitely a blessing to have on our team. He's a hard worker, and there's a reason he's a 2-year captain for us. So he's been starting since he's a sophomore, and so it's really starting to pay dividends.
Then we talked about the third quarter. That's the situation where things got a little dicey. Lakeview rattled off 10 points. It was 21-10 in that third. Just walk us through that third a little bit more. And there were some key plays that sort of happened, some special team situations, and then things got a little bit heated as well.
Yeah, I think in the third quarter they came out hot. I think their coaching staff did a great job at making halftime adjustments and motivating their kids, and it started getting a little chippy in the third quarter, as rivalry matchups sometimes do, and I think the officials did a good job of trying to get the game back under control, and so there was a lot of penalties, and a lot of them were on us. And so I think at the end of the night we were penalized for 93 yards, and so that's something that we definitely have to clean up, and we've already addressed this week. But they kind of had us backed into a corner. They had some nice plays that led to scoring opportunities for them, and they capitalized on that. But all in all, I think it was a difficult quarter to get through, probably the longest quarter of my coaching career. But I'm proud of the way that our boys handled adversity, and they were able to bounce back despite all the negative things that were going on.
So as the Vikings rattled off 10, it was 21-10 that third, but really kind of the pivotal turning point of the game. You guys were pinned against your own end zone in a punting situation. There's a low snap. Jake Boss bobbled it, and it looked like you may have had a blocked punt, and Lakeview would have scored right there. Boss ends up getting it away. The Vikings end up getting roughing the punter, and you get a first down. So that kind of seemed for me what really turned the tide.
Yeah, I think we had a really big string, or a long string of bad luck there, where we got penalized, and we had some unsportsmanlike. We had a holding call and a procedure penalty. So we really pinned ourselves back deep into our end zone, and then I think just that long string of bad luck led to a bobbled snap, and Jake Boss, being the athlete that he is, was able to recover from that poor handling of the ball, and he kind of ran it off to the right a little bit, was able to get it off, but in the attempt he was roughed by some of the Lakeview Vikings, and so it's a close call. It's a real subjective call, but the official was right there. I mean, he was within 5 feet, so he definitely had a better line of vision than anybody else on the field, and so he called roughing the punter. It was all that we needed to swing the momentum back our way, and we marched right down the field after that and put some more points on the board.
42-18 was the final score. Bailey Pelster, though, a highlight of that fourth quarter, had a big run for a touchdown, and he eclipsed the 1,000-yard mark on the year.
Yeah, Bailey had a great fourth quarter. We handed off to him on a double handoff, and he was able to make make something happen kind of out in the open field. Made a couple guys miss, show his elusiveness like we know he is. So really proud of that young man, not only for his efforts on Friday night, but he's just had a phenomenal season. But a lot of that, again, you can tip your hat to our offensive line as well as the other backs, because after Jake Boss has scored 4 touchdowns already, people start keying on him, and then we give the ball to Bailey, and that just opens things up for him. So, great job with our backs. Jake ended up rattling off another one at the end for a total of 5 touchdowns on the night. So 2 great individual performances, but overall, if you delete the third quarter out of the whole thing, it's a great game. But, we know it's a 4-quarter ball game, and so there's lots of things that we've had to clean up and address this week.
All right, and moving forward, you find out you're the #1 seed in all Class C1. Even with that 1 loss, you still have more power points than Norfolk Catholic, which you have to probably feel good about. I don't know if you look at that as a moral victory as the #1 seed, but I mean, preparing this week, what's it like knowing that you're the top dog in C1?
It's a nice feeling to know that you're the #1 seed, but as soon as the bracket comes out, you can throw all rankings and seedings out the window. It's just a roadmap to get to Lincoln, and so we're wholeheartedly focused on preparing for the O'Neill Eagles this week, and they do some very nice things that'll really stress our team in multiple ways. So we've got to have a good rest of the week in practice in order to have a chance against a great team.
And O'Neill, as you mentioned, they're coming in at 6-3. So just from what you've seen so far, what do they bring offensively and defensively? This is a team you don't normally see, like the teams you played during the regular season.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a breath of fresh air to see a team that you're not used to seeing year in and year out. And so this O'Neill team, they've got some great skill guys. They're a little bit younger, but they're aggressive. And so, their offense, they kind of run a little bit of a multiple spread look that our defense will have a little bit of trouble matching up with. But, with the adjustments we've made this week, I think our kids are really buying into the game plan. And their defense, they run the same exact defense that we do. And so it's actually nice for our offense to be able to run up against something that they're familiar with seeing, on a week-to-week basis. So I think our offense has a great game plan to take advantage of some of their undersized defenders and kind of their inexperience at times. So really excited to see what Coach Pellon has in store for the rest of the week and getting our offense ready to go.
All right, Coach, we're wrapping this one up. Final question for you. This is probably the situation you've been kind of waiting for since the beginning of the season. You have this huge group of seniors that has this huge amount of talent, and you have the chance to make a serious run at the state title, and now the playoffs are here. How are just you feeling as a second-year head coach that the opportunity is now right in front of you?
Well, there's no doubt about it. I'm very excited to see how this playoff picture unfolds. But we learned our lesson last year in the loss to Kearney Catholic that you can't look past anybody, And I give Coach Calling at Kearney Catholic a huge nod, because they taught us a very valuable lesson last year, and that's still fresh in our kids' minds. So we know that if we don't take care of business this week, it could be our last week. It's one of the things that I remind our guys every single day, that this could be your last Monday practice. This could be your last Tuesday practice. And for some of you, a lot of you, our 20-plus seniors, it could be your last one ever. And so our kids aren't ready to go home yet. Our kids aren't ready to hang up the shoulder pads and to check in their cleats. So our kids have been really focused all week. They know what's at stake. We've had a dream all along to get to Lincoln, but you can't look to Lincoln. You got to look to O'Neill first. And so I'm excited for Friday. I'm excited to see, the focus that our boys have shown this week actually pay off on Friday night.
All right, Coach. Well, we're also excited. We'll be broadcasting that game on ColumbusNewsTeam.com. The first time we've done a playoff game, so we're very excited for that as well, and hoping for a SCOTUS win.
Hey, thank you very much, and thanks for all the coverage this year, guys. You've been great.
Thank you, Coach Linder. We're glad to do it, bringing you all the live football action. Again, it's a 7 p.m. kickoff. It's happening right here in Columbus. If you're not going to the game, tune in on ColumbusNewsTeam.com. We'll be bringing you all the action as the Shamrocks host O'Neill in the first round of the playoffs. I'm Brandon Axford, and that wraps up this week's edition of Coach's Corner.